A challenge to all anti-taxers. If you are going to downvote this video, fine, go ahead. But if you do, leave a comment telling us why you downvoted. If you just downvote and leave, it will make you look like a petulant child without a proper counter-argument and show us that anti-taxers are really just emotional creatures that have no arguments to back their claims on this subject. Now, on to the show. Recently, Ben Burgis and Michael Huemer had a discussion on the ideas taxation theft or not, and while I think Ben did a pretty good job of refuting his positions, his argumentation, his claims, truth is there's a much better approach in my opinion on how to handle this issue. It's to use the right wing's own narrative against what they're trying to assert, being taxes being theft or not. But the position they're trying to put forward is the idea that taxation is theft. That's the phrase. That's the assertion, nothing else in between. So look at the word theft. Theft just means the unjustified confiscation of property that somebody has. That's the heart of it. I mean, that's what theft comes down to. Either way, I mean, it's immoral, it's wrong. As a socialist, as a leftist, I agree that stealing is wrong. Stealing is bad. Stealing shouldn't happen. But the problem is they don't seem to realize, using the right wing's narrative framing now, making an income is a choice. And when they choose to make an income, they are choosing to benefit from the government-funded economic infrastructure that's allowing them to be so monetarily gainful in the first place. This is something they cannot get around. So they want to make money, but they don't want to have to pay back into the upkeep of the very thing that allowed them to be so gainful in the first place. No one forced them to make an income, but they want to force everyone else to pretty much pick up the slack. They want to act like tax cheats. That's where the phrase tax cheats come from. They just want to make all this money off the back of that infrastructure and not have to pay anything back into it. If anything, they are the ones advocating for theft. They are the ones advocating for stealing from the upkeep that they chose to use and benefit from. Now, they could try to say something like, well, I think the government's like a mugger. How? How is the government like a mugger? The government doesn't come out of the shadows at random, unexpectedly point a gun at you and say, pay whatever this or else. They don't do that. You know going in that you're expected to pay tax on income. You know going in that this is the law, that this is maybe not a law you agree with, but the law nonetheless, and that people know about it, you know about it, and you're just wanting to cheat the upkeep of the very thing that allowed you to be so gainful in the first place. If anything, these anti-taxers are the ones advocating for theft, if anything. And it's really goofy because some of these anti-taxers will go say something along the lines, well, stealing from the government's not really theft. Well, then if you're going to say that, then I'm going to say taxes is not theft. You know what I mean? If you're going to apply the word theft to mean what it means, apply it consistently across the board. And now, well, if it's the government, then it's okay to rip it off. Then you're okay with some form of theft yourself, as long as it's theft that you like. So theft isn't that much of a bigger deal for you as an anti-taxer. But again, I'm using right-wing narrative framing here. It's best to use their narrative framing whenever you can, because it just if the moment they disown it, oh, that's just the best. Oh, so you disown the fact that making an income is a personal choice, that you effectively, have to do it or scratch a living off rocks. Then hey, you might as well become a leftist. But it's the sheer lack of consistency on their part that I find most amusing. And I've cornered quite a few excuse me, I've cornered quite a few ANCAPs, right-wing libertarians on this issue, and it's really hilarious. But the sad fact of the matter is that no matter how you bring it up to them, even if you bring it up the way I bring it to them, many of them are still going to hold their nose up in the air and go, no, I don't care. So the idea is just to simply point out the massive inconsistency they have with their train of thought and apply it using their narrative framing as they do with personal choice, individual choice, personal responsibility, all that shit. So I hope this video helped point out some some useful tips for y'all out there to counteract this really poisonous narrative taxation is theft, because it really isn't. If anything, it's the anti-taxers who are advocating for the theft of upkeep of the infrastructure that they chose to benefit from. They chose to benefit from. No one, using their narrative framing, no one's forced them to make an income, but they chose to use it, and they knew going in they're going to have to pay some money in tax. Because think of it this way: money itself. See all this money behind me? Yeah, money. Money itself is literally a government service. And it sounds weird, but do you think this money comes out of thin air? You think this money comes from, you know, underneath the rocks? No. The federal treasury prints it out. It's got all kinds of security features on it. I mean, it's got so much work and effort put into it to make sure these bills are not easily, you know, counterfeited. It really is a service. It is a stabilizing, you know, it's a stabilizing thing. These greenbacks, you know what I mean? But anywho, let me know what you think down below, and I'll see y'all around.